show
Woo!
on a Monday. We'll call it the special presidential debate edition.
Where we haven't seen it just yet.
Yes. So keep that in mind, everyone. It's probably. I think it may be on right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it just started.
Did it? Are you watching it?
I am not watching it.
Any big predictions? Not from Steve.
I predict that they won't mention much about the blockchain.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
It's very relevant and probably accurate.
Definitely won't be any Gary Johnson there.
Right.
He will not be there, probably. That's too bad.
Jill Stein got kicked out. She was escorted off the premises.
Oh my gosh, really?
According to an Apple News headline on my phone that I didn't read.
Oh. Huh. That's the extent of that knowledge.
It could have been completely fabricated.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out about it real soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but probably not blockchain.
No.
Anything exciting happening in blockchain world?
There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'll start. There was an ICO. You know what an ICO is?
No.
Internet. No, just tell me.
Initial coin offering. So, in the past, there was always the business model of like writing up a term sheet and going to a VC and getting funding. And that's kind of changed.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. I want to know what's going on, but you have already lost me.
We're off the tracks already.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about. Say that again.
So like when a new business would start, what they would do is they would write a term sheet, like basically the terms of the new venture.
Okay.
Sarah owns 10%. Ethan owns 20%. Steve owns 1,000%. Well, that's not how business works.
It's just like the blockchain show.
and it would all be done that way. It'd all be done, in pencil and paper and spreadsheets and things of that nature, and lawyers and all sorts of very expensive, people to look over these items. And then you would go in front of VCs and you would ask them for money to support your cause. And that's changing. That's one of the ways, the blockchain has changed the game. When a new business is starting in the world, what they're doing is they're writing a smart contract up, determining, there's no more term sheets. It's just right there in the code. And what First Blood is doing is one of the ICOs that just happened. There's a few of them that have happened, and a few that are coming up. They wanted to raise $5.5 million to start their business of allowing people to challenge their friends and challenge people that they don't know to a video game match, with like Hearthstone or Call of Duty or something. I don't know all the legends. And you can bet Ether on it. There'd be an Ethereum smart contract, and then you can wager, First Blood tokens or Ether on the outcome of the match. It's combined with the API of the video game, and they sold out in 5 minutes. They raised $5.5 million in 5 minutes.
I was just gonna say, Ethan, I'm thinking I know how you're gonna be a bazillionaire.
How's that?
You'll be so dedicated to this.
What are you talking about?
I know you're not much of a gambler, but you could probably rock some Call of Duty.
Maybe if it was the zombie special port of Call of Duty.
I'm sure that they'll come around to that.
Call of Duty Ether.
It'd make you feel more like a mercenary for really real.
For making real money. Yeah.
Are you going to feel bad about all the cyber things you kill?
No.
I always feel really sad every time I hear an elephant go down.
I don't kill
elephants. Or a
So
raccoon.
I don't think I've ever killed an elephant or a raccoon.
I know.
Virtually.
Happens in this house a lot.
What game are you talking about?
Well, my daughter plays Animal Jam, and I hear the death of a lot of cyber animals a day. And it makes me sad every time. What does ICO stand for again?
Initial chip offering, or initial coin offering. My bad. So what a lot of a lot of the ways that people are offering, not trying to get away with actually offering equity in a company. Instead of actually offering equity, they create a coin or a token that is an in-app currency of sorts. Mm-hmm. And so if the app takes off, that token or that coin is worth more in the future. And so they sell a whole bunch of these coins at pre-sale in order to raise money. And the first blood was one of the, the DAO was an ICO. Basically, you would buy as many DAO tokens as you want. So that was their ICO, and we know that failed spectacularly. But it's gone through and kind of it's the saga of it is kind of, for the most part, over and done with, and the Ethereum community has kind of moved on and took their lumps, and they have a good laugh about it. They were making lots of jokes at the DevCon that just went on last week. At DevCon is like was a big, or is it's still going on, I think, for another week, but a big event where all the different Ethereum apps and developers got together in Shanghai and announced a whole load of new stuff.
Like the exciting new Apple releases, but for blockchain people?
It'd be more like an Apple conference.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Less disappointment, I hope.
But Ethereum actually removed the headphone jacks of all Ethereum.
Fun haters. Hey, back on the smart contract, how difficult is it to change a smart contract? If, like the Constitution, you can make amendments, but what about a smart contract?
It is impossible to actually change a smart contract. Once you make a smart contract, that's it. You can, however, make a smart contract that calls a different smart contract, and then change what contract that contract calls. So you can kind of build an upgradable smart contract in a way.
Oh my God, it's just like Inception.
Yes. But once a contract is written, you can't change the code on it. You can't change the bytecode.
I see.
And I think that's done intentionally, because you need to know what the contract is that you're using. If somebody could just change it in the midst of an ongoing contract, it wouldn't be much of a contract. It'd be like, I don't know, not a contract at all.
Man, that just blows apart my whole idea of having a new constitutional blockchain, constitution on the blockchain.
Well, that sort of works.
Yeah, it would still work. You would just, instead, the contract would be there, how, what an amendment is, and then you could vote on new amendments. You can add new amendments, but the actual voting procedure you can change. Is that making more sense?
Yeah.
Actually, it got me confused. The voting procedure, what?
So there's the contract has memory where it can put into its memory different items. In this case, amendments, and the procedure of what it would take to ratify, in the case of a constitution, to ratify a new amendment would be set in stone. You wouldn't be able to change that, the voting process, but you could add or repeal amendments.
I wish we could repeal the Democratic and Republican parties.
Yeah. I wish we could just repeal the system.
Yeah.
It's not exactly in the Constitution. That's just what it has evolved into.
The two-party system? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president.
What?
The Whig Party existed before then, and then they kind of dissolved and reassembled, as I understand, into the Republican Party. And
really?
Lincoln was the first.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy how... And the Democrats were the ones that wanted to keep slaves in the South, and it's funny how everything's kind of changed.
Meanings change.
But anyways, jumping back to the future, I definitely want to talk about Wells Fargo.
What about Wells Fargo?
That was a big deal.
it was like, I don't know if you saw Elizabeth Warren, the senator on the banking committee, just tearing the CEO to pieces.
She's good at that. That's her thing. That's her jam.
It's her thing, but I feel like she kind of lost her integrity.
Oh, really?
When she clapped away her integrity for Hillary Clinton. Oh, yeah. Remember that? She was talking mad crap on her. I don't know why that sounded so 8th grade. And then all of a sudden, there's that meme where she's just clapping for 2 minutes for Hillary, and there's a meter of her integrity going down.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But anyways, the Wells Fargo thing was a big deal, and it had a lot to do with fraud and money scams. And I wish I would have had that in my back pocket when I was talking to your dad a couple weeks ago.
What? What do you? I'm so lost still. I don't even know. Like, so are you saying that something just recently happened with Wells Fargo that is a bunch of money got scammed, like, virtually?
Yeah, there were over 5,000 employees that were opening these multiple accounts for people.
Oh, yes.
And it was like some incentive. If people open multiple online accounts, they get a compensation.
Right.
And some people had like 13 accounts in their name when they checked, and they never signed up for one.
Right.
And it was just funny to see a senator just berating some guy who just couldn't take it. It was hilarious. He just didn't know how to stand up to her or talk or do anything. And he had like a broken hand when he raised it to, I don't know.
I'm going to have to Google
You gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll just have Steve explain it and then edit me out explaining it.
No, I think you did a pretty good job of explaining it. There was Andreas Antonopoulos was giving a talk, and he's like, there was a large number of fictitious accounts that were created, where people were robbed of their money. And it's good to know that, the CEO of Wells Fargo is going to prison for this, and the executive in charge of the orders to create this high-pressure sales environment is also going to jail for this. The millions of dollars that were stolen from Wells Fargo employees will be taken from the CEO's salary and given back.
Huh.
And then he laughs. He's like, "Of course not."
None of that happened, right?
I was gonna say that. That sounds.
They fired 4,000 low-level employees or something.
Of course, that's the solution.
Of course, that's the solution. We're gonna fire the people, the low-level employees that are just trying to keep their job.
Oh.
That's so messed up.
Wow.
Wells Fargo.
So the CEO did not return a cent.
Wait. Was there actual laughter involved?
Yes.
From whom? Who was the one that laughed? Haha, like that's ever going to happen. You're talking about like how it should be taken out of his salary? Yeah.
Yeah, it was being a group of people in San Francisco at the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup.
San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. Is there a Los Angeles Bitcoin meetup?
He was actually in Los Angeles 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was in Woodland Hills doing the Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh my gosh.
That's where they do it.
That's
It's crazy about Wells Fargo. I like that in the Ethereum world, when the DAO got exploited, there was it's kind of like a dark, I call it dark because I don't know about them, but there was a group that just kind of all had a consensus, we're going to fork this and people can decide which side they want to take, but we're going to have a resolution, as opposed to the whole Capitol Hill thing, which was just like watching a circus. Everyone's yelling at each other.
Oh, interesting.
Nothing got done.
I see what you're saying.
Just some people that just got pressed.
Everything got super polarized and inflamed, and
you got people outraged.
Things apparently are polarized and inflamed with the forking stuff.
It's more quiet and less publicized. It's just people in their rooms cursing or looking at their phone.
Their basements.
Their basements. I'm sorry, I forgot that. I haven't been watching enough news.
They're in their basements, drilling holes inside the
conspiracies.
Bottom of the new iPhones.
Yeah. With banks, it happens though over and over and over again. We give the banks so much authority to create money out of nothing, and they abuse that power, and
we just keep doing it.
And everybody's outraged for a day,
right?
And nobody goes to jail, not a single person, and it's business. We're back to business as normal. It happens all the time.
It's been happening for like centuries.
Yeah, we just keep on keeping on.
I mean, unless you got giant stones to roll around and trade money with, what else are you going to do?
I think we're evolving in that direction. I think that is what we're going to do. I think we just make them obsolete.
Exactly.
I mean, it really always does come down to like the individual choice. It's so funny. My parents always told me to like vote with your dollar. It's true.
Vote with your Bitcoin.
Vote with your Bitcoin. Exactly. I mean, things can just organically evolve in a way that doesn't need to be. They're gonna be upset about that though.
the cashless society that we're going towards.
Yeah. Somehow that makes it sound creepier. That
It
makes me
does.
think of the creepy.
I like the Andreas
things.
Antonopoulos. There's like we're at a point, we're going towards cashless no matter what, which I kind of agree with him. Of course, he's speculating. It's either on one side, you either have like corporate controlled blockchain ledgers, or you have what we have with Bitcoin, where it's kind of unregulated and for the people.
Wild West.
I don't know. Do you agree with that, Steve? Kind of seeing like central banks jump on board.
Well, they're trying.
The central banks are jumping on board. There was actually, and so the central bank jumping on board, I think, is good news. We can talk about like a technological inversion. What happened with the phone, the telecoms, is that when like voice over IP came out, telephone calls over the internet, they were kind of like bad initially because your internet would run over your DSL line or whatever, or over your phone line, so you would make a VoIP call over a phone line. That was kind of ridiculous. But or when you first started driving cars, they were driven on mud, dirty roads covered in horse shit, breaking down, and everybody getting dirty, and everybody laughed at them. But then they built the roads. They built the infrastructure, the fiber optic network, and now the everything, motorcycles and anything that needs a flat surface can ride on the roads, and anything that now there's not a single phone call that doesn't go over the internet. And you have this technological inversion where the old, for a time, the new technology performs like crap on the old technology's infrastructure because it doesn't have its own infrastructure. As the new technology's infrastructure gets built, then it performs up to a level. And at that point is when the old technology, runs on the new technology's infrastructure. So and that's what's happening, I think, with Banco Santander, which is like the fourth largest bank in the world, I think.
What? Are you joking with that? How is that possible? Go ahead. Sorry.
They are going to take one country, probably either UK or Spain, and anybody with a Banco Santander bank account can immediately convert it to any of their euros to a Banco Santander euro digital currency on the Ethereum blockchain.
Wow.
No way. Didn't see that coming.
That is so strange. Do you know how obscure the town of the city of Santander is? How is that? It's like in between Castro Urdiales and it's on the north, but it's not that big. That's so funny. It's the fourth largest. Probably now it's going to be like,
it's going to get bigger.
yeah. Everyone's going to know Banco Santander.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen to the roads when we have our flying cars.
Sidewalks.
They might not be the fourth largest bank. I don't even know how big they are. I mean, they're in Brazil and UK and all over the place. So,
dang.
I don't know.
Maybe I should start banking with them.
I don't think they're in America.
Damn it.
So this is the thing that really strikes me as amazing. You have an incredibly large bank who wants to issue, cryptographic euros, and they do it on Ethereum. They announce that they're going to, you'll be able to take those, anybody who has, the euro token to any bank and exchange it for euros. And so now it keeps its balance. It keeps its value. It's when you have, one of the reasons why people aren't jumping all over these cryptocurrencies is they're very unstable. You could lose or gain, half or double the value of something overnight. And it happens quite often in this space. And with something like pegging it to a euro, it's going to lose value, year after year, but it'll lose very, very slowly.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually. So could you like shapeshift it into any other cryptocurrency once it's there? I
don't know if shapeshift would be able to integrate with it. But I would say that's certainly a possibility. People with the euros, the digital version, the cryptographic version of the euro, would want to trade it for Bitcoin or Ethereum or some other Dash, let's say, Dogecoin, whatever they want. Monero.
Wow, that's crazy that they're using the Ethereum blockchain. I would have figured like they'd use their own closed network sort of deal.
You would, and that's what most of these companies are trying to do. They want to do their own, their own private ledger, but it defeats the purpose. If you can have a blockchain that's secure, that's stable, that's worldwide, that has a great development team, that they were hacked, or they weren't hacked, but they were attacked twice this past week in coordination with the DevCon. At the start of DevCon, there was a big attack that almost brought the Ethereum network to a halt.
Damn.
And then a few days ago, there was another attack that kind of slowed things down. It was more of a nuisance DOS attack. Didn't really do much, but certainly scared a few people. In the end, it just makes the network stronger.
That's true.
But I am incredibly surprised that something. Initially they announced that they were going to do it on a federated blockchain or a private blockchain. Mm-hmm. And they decided at the last minute not to.
God, I wish I would have gotten into like computers. It'd be really good right now. Just with like, not necessarily hacking, but just having the knowledge of how to do those things. I mean, now I have to go and watch it on TV to get like an idea of how it all works, but like it's almost like you got to know the right people when you're coming up to get into some of that, whether it's like nefarious hacking or just like exploratory hacking for knowledge. It's they're rock stars, man.
Yeah, I never got into that type of hacking. I had a couple of friends who did. It's you just have to kind of like find people who are willing to share stuff, and then once you know where to get information, it becomes pretty easy for a lot of things that you would think were very, very difficult. There was a number of announcements at DevCon 2. I'm trying to find some of them. Truffle announced some new features. Truffle is a framework for developing Ethereum dApps, or dApps on Ethereum, or Ethereum Classic. And what they announced was that what you can do now is for your testing environment, you can take a current snapshot of the existing Ethereum blockchain and kind of like fork it for your own personal testing. So you can say, here's everything that exists at this moment, fork off, and then let me create a contract for free, and so I can test it against a real world live data, which, as far as I'm aware, that's never been done before in any sort of programming environment, where you can actually just take, all the production data and immediately have it to work with segregated in a testing environment. It's actually pretty tough to do. But now with Truffle and TestRPC, you can do that immediately, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, are you going to test that out?
I have. I uploaded my first 2 segments of learning Ethereum and learning blockchain development. They're on YouTube, so you can go check it out if you want.
Sweet.
Just part 1 and part 2. And then,
where do they type in? Blockchain Show?
I actually did it under a different name. I didn't want people to get too confused with it. I think it's like Contract Casts.
Contract Cast.
Yeah.
Sweet. Definitely checking that out.
So you can do like Hitchhiker's Guide to Smart Contracts, and it'll pull it up. Kind of just walking through a really cool blog post that Manuel, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Araoz, Arios, did, and so it'll be pretty cool. I hope that I'll learn some stuff with it, and maybe somebody else will as well.
Yeah, dude. Sounds like you already have. That's cool. Get on the YouTube. And people should also visit our website.
Yeah, come to our website and donate some money because we're all broke.
Yep. Podcast.